Thank you, everyone, for being here today for the Safe, Vibrant, and Healthy Community Committee meeting. We are going to start with a discussion on the Midtown Corridor Municipal Service District feasibility study. Mr. Raleigh?
Yes, so good afternoon, Mayor and members of the committee. So if you'll recall, at our last committee meeting, the staff made a presentation to the committee on a number of items related to questions that had arisen about next steps in our evaluation of the MSD. Specifically, those questions that were answered at our last meeting included the tax rate that were necessary to fund the projects that had been identified as a part of the Walkable Midtown Plan, We talked about the city's plan for spending revenue that would be generated from that incremental new tax in the district. And we also outlined the number of residential units that are included currently in the district boundaries as proposed. And so at this point, we are open to any additional feedback that the committee has to offer related to staff questions or any other questions that the committee would have us evaluate or examine related to continued pursuit of this.
Okay, could we get a review of the process again?
Sure. To speak to process, I'll have Mr. Bonapane, our interim budget and management services director, come and share process steps with you from here forward.
Good morning, Mayor, members of the committee. Lou Bonapane with here today in my role as interim director of the Budget Management Services Department. So in establishing a
Because you didn't have enough to do.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. In terms of establishment of a municipal service district, once council votes to create one, and given where we are already in the middle of the current fiscal year, we would establish the tax rate coincidental with the next fiscal year, so it would become effective July 1st. And then at that point in time, the Wake County would bill for the taxes and remit the proceeds back to the city. So what would we do between now and then if you wanted to proceed with establishing a municipal service district? There are things to do, including communications and community outreach, education efforts, and then if we were going to provide, so with the existing municipal service districts, we do provide services. Okay,
right.
So what we would normally do is seek a partner or a vendor to provide those services between now and the effective date of the collection of taxes.
So I think what I'm more interested in is what is the process for determining the study? Like, in other words, what we're talking about is a study to, similar to what we're doing with the Blue Ridge Corridor. How would that process go about?
Okay, I apologize, Mayor. So let's see, we're going back last year now. Council did ask staff to provide a feasibility study, which we did and gave that to council last year. This would be a more in-depth study, similar to what was done by a consultant, as you said, Mayor, with the Blue Ridge Road Corridor. And that consultant would come in, look at in more detail, the various parcels, the tax values and all of that, and then determine, and it could also, part of that scope of that contract could be to try to fine-tune the boundaries, because I know there's been some discussion about trying to eliminate as much as possible any residential properties. So I think, let's call it fine-tuning of the boundaries of a proposed district could be part of the scope of that study contract.
Okay.
So if we were to do it as discussed to this point, I think the Midtown Alliance would actually contract with a consultant. I think they are. I've spoken with when Tara Robbins is here. I think they've spoken with a potential, but we would ask that they get a couple different proposals from different consultants and then contract, and then bring the results of the contract back between now and whatever period of time the consultant might take, and which would be dependent upon the scope.
Okay. Any questions for staff before I open this up? Okay. Tara, I see you here. Assuming you would like to speak on this, and if you could come up to one of the microphones, that would be helpful.
I figured you weren't gonna. Great.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Tara Robbins, Midtown Raleigh Alliance. Thank you for allowing me to speak today on this matter. We have been supportive of exploring this idea of a municipal services district. The Walkable Midtown Plan has a number of really key community benefits, namely infrastructure that is really going to allow that corridor to continue to grow and thrive and support the density better. And we have, up till this point, been supportive and remain supportive of a further feasibility study. I have spoken with the consultant, Benchmark Planning, which is currently doing the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance feasibility study. We have spoken about the scope and also the cost of that. And we would like to request moving forward with a feasibility study to determine, as Lou mentioned, fine-tuning the map. What would it look like? Also looking at the scope of projects that could be included and what the dollar assigned value for those projects would be. I think all of those are really important pieces of information that are needed before we create the MSD. So that would be our position at this point.
So you're willing then to take on responsibility for this, as we have done with other alliances?
Yes, we would be looking for assistance and funding, but we would like to move forward and continue to explore through a more robust feasibility study.
Okay. What was the cost that they quoted you?
Yeah, so
Just so we have a ballpark.
Yeah, so originally they quoted us $20,000, but I know what they did the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance for, which was less than that. So actually got them to agree to $15,000 for that study.
Okay. Any questions of Tara?
Did they give you any indication how long it was going to take once you engaged them to do the study? How long it would take for it to be completed?
I did ask that, and it's dependent upon how many stakeholder meetings we have to pull together. That seems to be a time limiting, a factor there. But not less than 6 months. I know that the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance one has been going on for more than that. So I would say 6 to 9 months maybe would be a ballpark, and
Be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I have a question for staff related to funding. Thank you, Tara. We, as a city, paid for the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance study. We offered a grant. I know that we have identified ARPA funding, but that is a grant process. Do we have funding that we can identify or locate that we could use for this study? I'm looking at this as an issue of fairness. If we've done this for others, like we have for Hillsborough Street, Blue Ridge, whatnot, can we search for $15,000 to help pay for this?
I think the short answer is yes. We'll have to investigate what the source of funds that was used to support the Blue Ridge study was, to see what that process looked like. I don't know, Mr. Bonaparte, if you have any immediate response, but it's a question that we can certainly investigate the answer to.
Okay. I'm ready to make a motion. So what I would make a motion is to approve the study, the MSD study, with MRA as the lead agency, and then ask staff to identify $15,000 in funding to conduct this.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. It's your district. Go ahead. No, it's your district. Go ahead.
Oh,
Okay, seconded by both, but Councilor Buffkin. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so that is approved 3-0. let me see. I thought we were also going to discuss the ARPA funding today.
No, Mayor. This is the only item that we had
Okay.
calendar for today.
What,
Agenda.
the food security programs, we had asked for more work on that.
Yes.
So, are we, by not approving that, are we holding anything up?
At this point, no. We can do some additional investigation. I think one of those programs had already been reported out by the committee. There may have been an additional. I think it was potentially related to the community garden.
Yeah, this was the
The
community
community
garden
garden aspect.
piece.
Yeah, we can see where staff is. That was not prepared for this
Okay,
meeting.
I don't want to be holding anything
Sure.
up if we need to move forward. So, one thing I was going to suggest is reporting that out
Okay.
if need be. I don't know if we can do that or not. Robin?
And what would the report out be?
Just that reporting out the food security program and bringing that back to
Okay.
council for action.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
any problem with doing it. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
been on the agenda. I don't know if there's anybody who would be interested in seeing it, but if it's coming back to council, I think that's fine. Given your time
Sure.
limitations.
Well, that's the thing. I'm thinking there's not going to be another,
Right. Another
Probably-
opportunity potentially for this group, so I think that's
yes.
fine.
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm not exactly sure what the program is. I mean, I support community gardens.
It's ARPA funding that would, like, we had a report on what they were trying to do. We asked them to come back with some more information.
Yes.
But what I'm asking is that just bring this back to council.
Yeah, like Robin
That's
said,
fine.
it's coming back to council. You know, we'll see it there. I
Why
have
don't
a
you
problem
vote on
with
it
I
just to make sure that the committee's consensus is to send it back, and that way
Are
that
you
should be
okay with
cleaner.
that, Stormy?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion then to report the food security program out of committee and ask that it be brought before the full council, either November 1st or the 15th.
Okay.
Okay? All in favor? Aye. Okay, that was consensus. And I'm just looking to see if there's anything else. Nope, I think we're good. Okay. Well, is this one of the quickest committee meetings on record? I hope so. So, thank you, everyone, and we are adjourned.